Very good day to you, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of the Kandi Talk here on Herman Manyora's YouTube channel. My name is Evan Sokinyi. It's my pleasure to have you on board on Kenya's most comprehensive political and public governance analysis show this fine morning. I'm joined here by Professor Herman Manyora, all the way from the western side of this country. And of course, talking about Lombe. Prof, how are you?
I'm doing well, and you?
I'm quite okay.
That's wonderful. Yes.
How are the hilly sides of Vihiga County?
Vihiga is okay. We are doing very well. Hilly, but we love it. We love it with the stones, with the hills. No land, but we love it. Yeah.
Abadi is telling me that perhaps you may vie for the gubernatorial seat in that county this time round.
Those are small jobs. Like there's only one job I can vie for. The president of this country. I must be in a position to change things. Because even if you became a governor, unless the country runs on a good software, you can't go far.
So the real power, the real power
at the top.
to change lies at the top.
Yeah. If I ever wanted to run for something, presidency, nothing else. Yeah.
Okay, we are seeing some sort of, I don't want to call it an altercation, but then of course the Nyeri Archdiocese Archbishop Anthony Muheria has once again hit at the government. He's saying here, please come on, stop advertising the programs that you're supposed to be implementing. In fact, he says we don't need these things advertised, we only need work done. But the government has also hit back saying, well, we have to articulate government policies, government issues, and what should be done. I wonder what you make of all these. Do you think perhaps that the canon here, the leader here of this particular church is actually justified in telling the government to actually just get to work?
All of us are, as Kenyans, we are free to express our opinions. We are free to talk about our government and our country. Yeah, so Bishop Muhere is just is within his rights to say what he thinks ought to be said about his government, about his country. Yeah.
Okay.
This is not, there are no restrictions. Yeah.
But the top brass leadership of the country thinks he is not actually on the right lane. I saw
they are also justified to counter what he has said. So
the Speaker of the National Assembly tells him to keep off and actually take care of his souls and not speak about issues to do with governance. Is that really right, that our church should actually be silent? Or
no. Why would the church keep silent? The church must mind about the welfare of the people here before they go up.
But Wetangula tells him to stay in his lane.
Wetangula has also his right. He has a right to say what he wants to say. And we have a right to make a judgment as Kenyans. And we can make, we can have an opinion. We can say, well, both the president, both the government and the bishop have a point. But we cannot say both of them are missing something. One, the bishop is right. Let your actions speak. Why are you going to the mountaintop to proclaim what you have done? Let us see it. Let your actions speak. If you say the economy is doing well, people don't need to say it. People will see. Businessmen will feel. They will know they are doing well. You don't need to tell them. You don't need to announce the cost of living has gone down. What do you need? Why would you do that? People will know. If things are working, you don't need to say they are working. So the bishop is right. But on the other hand, the government can also do so much. And if it didn't communicate what it is doing to the citizens, it can suffer the same fate Uhuru Kenyatta suffered. After doing so much, nobody knew Uhuru Kenyatta had done anything. It's now people are beginning to see what he was doing, including his own people. The infrastructure development he did in Mount Kenya region. People didn't know. They didn't feel it. So government has a responsibility not just to do, but to have a conversation with the citizens in terms of what it is doing, because some of the projects, the citizens must own those projects. The citizens must have a buy-in in the project, because you are doing those things for the people. So the people must own those projects. The people can also ask you or tell you or give their input in terms of, we don't need this project. Or now that you have started, don't do phase 2. Or when you go to phase 2, to do it in this manner. Or this is how the project is impacting on us. You need to mitigate. The dam was good. But it has brought a lot of mosquitoes and what have you, and we are suffering from bilharzia. Maybe what you call environmental assessment was not done properly for whatever it is. So there ought to be a continuous engagement, between the people and the government in terms of the project, so that there's feedback and so on and so forth. So to that extent, the bishop is not quite right. However, the government is not doing it in the proper way. The government is doing it with the sole aim of showing we have done, we are there. No, not that way. No, that is wrong. That you come out looking bad. That's what the bishop is telling them. Actually, the bishop is simply telling government, you are looking bad, you are looking ugly. Stop what you are doing. So it's better to stop. If government cannot communicate properly, they better stop. They better listen to bishop. But if they listen to me and to reason, you need to communicate, but not in the manner they are doing it.
So do you believe there is a problem with the communication kind of sector of the government?
Because Uhuru did a lot, but nobody knew what he did. So government must continuously engage the system, the citizens, so that the citizens know what the government is doing. Not so much a question of to be able to re-elect the government. No. To move together with the government. To move in the same, to pull together in the same direction with the government. You need to communicate. But government is failing in its communication strategy, if I could call it a strategy, because that would be a misnomer, but let's call it strategy. Because it is trying to communicate with the 2027 in mind. And even then, that political communication is wrong. It's not being done by experts. It's being done by some jokers.
Okay.
Because communication is a highly professional thing. But any job that everybody thinks they can do is rarely done well. It's like teaching. Nobody cares about teachers. Because everybody thinks teaching is anything anybody can do. That's why teachers are not paid well. Teachers are not respected. So someone's a doctor, an engineer. But that engineer was taught by a teacher. That doctor was taught by a teacher. But nobody respects a teacher. You know why? People think teaching is anything anybody can do. And that's why we do not even produce people in this country after an entire schooling or education. They are not educated. They are not schooled. They are not well trained. Because the pedagogy, the teaching aspect of it was not done well, and partly because we think just about anybody can teach. You get it? Just about anybody can teach.
Okay.
So same with the communication. Government thinks there are more important things to do, which they need experts. We need economic experts, economic advisors and experts. Those ones you go for experts. We need engineers, technical advisor to the president. Those ones they take serious. But when it comes to communication, anybody can do communication. Yet, it is the bedrock. Without communication, government comes out ugly, like the way our government is coming out, very ugly. Everybody is caricaturing the president. That can't be good. You open any WhatsApp group, look at the things, look at the president being caricatured. Look at those AI things. And you still think communication is just something for just anybody who has stood before a microphone in a studio. Citizen TV, NTV, where KTN, come and become a communication. No! It's one thing to be before a microphone with your good face as a woman or a man and have a good voice and read news. But to handle communication itself is something different. It requires a lot of expertise and training. Yeah.
So based on your own assessment, when you look at the general mood in the country, could you say that it's true that somehow the government has actually been reduced to an advertising agency in the country rather than what it's supposed to be?
That's a failure of communication. That's what Bishop is talking about. They are coming out badly. Actually, they should respect the bishop. The bishop is being kind to them. He'll tell them, you are coming out badly. You are looking ugly. Stop. Because if you can't do it, don't do it. Let what you do speak for itself. Yet, it's important for you to communicate. It's important for you to engage Kenyans so that you walk in the same direction with Kenyans. But you are not doing it that way. Instead, you are advertising yourselves. So he's telling, please, I'm only being fair to you. Stop.
But even if we go that direction, do you think the advertising thing, even if that is what the government is actually doing, is working? Because it has reached a point whereby the president actually makes certain sentiments and people are actually just laughing about it and going ahead to mock him on the same. Does it mean that the kind of failed promises that we've had in the past could actually be blamed on how actually Kenyans now take anything that the government says? Right?
You know, President Ruto promised many things. He has not done them. At least most of them he has not done. Some he has done and done poorly and so on and so forth. A few has done well. You think that's unique to Kenya? So it's a global phenomenon. What people say during elections and what they implement. Trump told us he was going to build a very beautiful wall, a nice wall with a beautiful gate. Did he do it? He just did something small. You know, the reality of governing checks the dreams of campaign. And that's how communication now comes in. Because the government must share with its citizens what it is doing vis-a-vis what it was supposed to do. We wanted to do this. Unfortunately, because of this and these factors, we are not able to do. And it's not provided in like in a classroom language. There must be ways you can package that information so that citizens can see the gaps and what you are doing about the gaps. Things that must be delayed, things whose implementation must be delayed or appended or suspended, will always be there. It's a question of how do you make the citizens know we were supposed to be traveling to the moon, but engine ya gari imeharibika. But we are working. Kuna mechanic chini ya gari wanatengeza. You know, it's and you know you can't. These people government takes cannot do that. So the government, Ruto promised things, he has not done a number of them. It's not unique to Kenya. It happens everywhere in the world. But what those people do, they make the people understand the politics. Sometimes they hype the politics. Say you are failing to do the wall and you are Trump. You can't go and tell citizens, you know, I've not gotten money from Congress. Congress has to remove money. It has refused to release funds, which is true. There are certain, there are reactions from their border friends, Mexico, which is true. Where there are laws governing some things which is again is true. If you do it like you are in a classroom, again you will fail. So sometimes you hype something like what Congress is doing. You make it a story. It becomes a narrative in the media. Nancy Pelosi and the rest talking bad about the wall, and you make that is hyped, so that the attention now goes on that. And the people easily understand why you have not built the wall. That cannot be done by these people the government is employing. You get it? It can only be done by people who have a knowledge of how communication works. And they are working with a government that is willing to listen, and a president that can sit down with the experts. Yeah.
There's a time we had a conversation here with you, and you told me clearly that campaign should be done in poetry, but then you govern in prose. Do you think that is the case here?
Somebody who says, not Manyora, I've forgotten his name. Somebody said we campaign in poetry but govern in... If you Google, you'll find out the person who said it.
But I remember the time that I had that conversation with you, it's you who told me that.
I told you that, but I said it's somebody who said it.
Not you, exactly.
Not me, it's not me. I don't want people to say Manyora is...
So in this case, if you look at that kind of analogy, do you think the government is actually doing the opposite, campaigning in poetry and governing in poetry?
Yes.
That is why
that's what they are trying to do, to campaign in poetry and govern in poetry. It's not... See, everybody has said, and I think there's a measure of truth in that, that Ruto is very good at campaigning, very good in politics. But when it comes to governance, governing is poor, which is true. I think when you go to politics, give it to Ruto. He's top of his game. But you see, at some point, politics must take second seat, a back seat, and you do the governing. You see? Occasionally, you'll go back to the drawer and pull out politics, occasionally. Because again, you need the politics to be right for you to govern. You cannot govern if the politics are chaotic. So you must always go to the drawer and look at the politics, the manual. Infuse governance with the software required from politics for you to do governance. Because governance is hardware. Okay? The software is the draw of politics. Unaenda pale unatoa injection, unafuta una inject kwa governing. Then you move on. But for them, the completely governing is out. It's politics 24/7. You can't. You won't go far. No.
From election to election.
Balance between governing and politics. How does each impact on the other? At what point are they one and the same? At what point are they different? At what point do you need one to support the other? At what point is one entirely dependent on the other? You need, that is something you need to balance all the time and to check on it. What President Ruto and his government are doing, they are completely oblivious of the need for running the country. They are playing politics, and they think politics is governing the country. No. Politics gives you the space to govern. But governing is something on its own. Because it is practical. There are things you need to do. There are decisions you ought to make. There is implementation you need to put in place. It's not politics. Occasionally, you never be away from politics. Because let me give you a good example. Assuming we have hit some gold mine somewhere or some oil and we have a lot of money, and we think we want to allocate industries, and we say, okay, we want to allocate industries representing the face of Kenya. So we say every county will get one industry. Okay? That is true. That may be politics. But then there are realities about allocation of an industry. You need even to go to the book. So now that will be governing. Governing will send you to the book. What are the factors to consider in allocating an industry? Availability of raw materials. How heavy is the raw material? Which means if the raw material is heavy, you need to allocate the industry close to the industry close to the raw material. Or if the finished products are also like steel, they are heavy, how will you be transporting your steel to which market? Do you have a rail line? Because you can't transport steel using Probox. You get it? So those are factors in the textbook. And that's governing. But if you go with the textbook alone and you ignore the politics, again you will fail. Because you may be forced to tweak a bit of the textbook and allocate an industry where ideally it should not be allocated. But because of political considerations, you will do it, but you will have to play around with the challenges. So the president is not allocating industries according to established knowledge, and the factors are completely ignored. So to him, you will allocate an industry in Migori where you come from, because the people of Migori will then vote for you. I hope that example serves to demonstrate the challenges we are facing in this country. That if you put politics ahead, you will put a university everywhere. But there are many factors that you must consider in considering matters of education. There is a cost, there is a social. People will demand a Wanda university. People will demand more students to join university. If you use politics alone, we will be in a situation where we are today. Today we are admitting 200 and something thousand students in public universities, when the public university capacity in this country cannot admit more than 20,000, 30,000. So you do the politics, you mess education. And the problem therefore is the president must balance between governing, which requires using facts and knowledge, making hard decisions, some of them bad decisions, bad in terms of they are not popular, but they are needed. And then the communication must now kick in to make the people see why this so-called bad or hard decisions have been made. But if you base yourself on politics, then that's where we are as a country.
Well,
I hope I'm not taken to a classroom.
nimekuelewa vizuri. So it's a matter of balancing between politics and governance and getting it right.
Yeah.
I hope our leaders are listening. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in. Weigh in and tell us what you think about the conversation that we've just had here with Professor Herman Manyora. Till we have this conversation again, have yourself a lovely day. Thank you for watching. My name is Evans.
Okay.